Okay, we just had a slammer of a time with the last video. So now I feel a little more dropped in, a little more happy to connect. So we're going to see who our next sign is. Of course, you know already. I don't. So let's see. And our next sign is, oh my God, Pisces. Okay, wow. Pisces. Yeah, this is beautiful. I can't wait. I'm really truly excited to kind of start the energy. I think maybe that's what we'll do. We'll just do the living light codes because this is a gift from Aquarius. So Pisces to you, for all who resonate with the Pisces energy at this time. Whether you see a lot of Piscean energy externally, whether you have a lot of Piscean energy yourself, like this is, I'm just excited to give this space because it's cool, you know. Pisces, a gift from Aquarius. Thank you, Spirit. So we got needful, inflexibility, and the warrior's shield, telling us a story. I'm going to show you all of this. So the bottom of the deck was spontaneity, card number 30. Okay? So that's where we're at, Pisces. But we're going to start with these three cards. Needful, card number 19. Inflexibility, and the warrior shield. So I'm pretty excited. So let's look at card number 19. Needful. You are looking to others much of the time to fill your needs. These perceived needs are generally because you want attention, validation, to be noticed. You must realize that others, have nothing more inside of themselves than you do, okay? To be needful is to deny the fact that every resource that you need is within you. No one else has what you need. Remember that you cannot recognize what you have not yet given to yourself. Pisces, this is a real energy. Aquarius season is gifting us the transformation and the awareness of the shift from the age of Pisces to the age of the Aquarian, right? Because I think Pisces was looking to the external world to define what it was, because that's what Pisces is. It's the sum of all the experiences. So Pisces is, I am what you say I am, you know, and much of Pisces, age of Pisces ideals were about putting external, it's all external. So taking the source that's within and idealizing it in some figure that we can all group associate, because we're terrified of being isolated in our beliefs and or in our spirituality. We are terrified that if we stand alone or are alone in our processing of what is true for us, just because we simply can't all project an external image that we all then follow as some living separate deity, when it's really just a projection of everything that we already have. Pisces is learning from Aquarian that you cannot, it is impossible for those around you to have more than what you have. Like, you can't keep looking to others or external energy or being needful of certain things. Like, I feel like if Pisces, you've really been needing your partner, you've been really needing your job identity, or you've been really needing certain aspects. It could be anything, you know. But think about what it means to really need anything outside of yourself. I think Pisces was really owning the fact that, like, we need to go to church, or we need to, you know, pray, or we need to live in a certain way, or we need to congregate, or we need to have these kinds of things. This Piscean ideals that, like, we need, and it doesn't follow up with a we are what we need. You know what I mean? We need really places like, this is what we need, and who's going to assess the need. And that's where we create this God being outside of ourselves, when the reality really is God is not in all, it's all powerful because it is all of the combinations of possible movement creating a singular energy. It's what all of this works together to create, and that phenomena of change and higher intelligence is what God really is. Now, this God that we think, we don't really need a God to permit us to live. There is a God that governs the forces and cycles in which we live in, but it's not a single entity, but rather a wholeness that governs and moves as one moving body. And people connect to that source and identify that source however you need to, but there isn't really anything that you're going to really be needing outside of yourself and your person. So also learning the lesson, the gift from Aquarius at this time for Pisces is like, you, no matter how many times you want to rely on that, there is nothing, the people around you, the things around you can tell you that there isn't anything you need from them in order for you to be set free, to do the work, to be who you need to be. So that's just kind of the off-the-cuff download we got there, but we're going to go to 34 and talk about inflexibility as well. You tend to believe that you are in control, often unbending in your methods of creation, and the outcomes that are driven by your expectations encumber you. Your expectations are impossibilities. Do you hear that? Because no one else truly knows what you want. It is entirely your entire secret. Relax. Let life show you what is possible and let everyone else off the hook. They can't satisfy you when they don't have a clue what you want. Here is that other part of things. There is this tightness that I feel like, and this is natural because Age of Pisces, we focused on these two koi fish that just orbit each other in this really confined space. And we wonder if it's all of Pisces is just a trauma. Like Pisces is all knowing, so they stay in one place because they know they're safest there and can probably live the longest life in that orbit, or they think they need each other. There's this higher consciousness here about why these fish stay here and they orbit one another. And it's like Pisces is really reflecting on that in practice, in your energies, right? Where you felt the need to just kind of stay fixed in this inflexibility, orbiting around the same things or keeping yourself connected to the same things that perhaps are really only just products of the fact that you've been spinning in that circle for so long, and that's what it is. It says, you tend to believe that you are in control, often unbending in your methods of creation, and the outcomes in your methods and the outcomes that are driven by your expectations encumber you. You put all these expectations, then these outcomes happen that encumber you. They completely envelop all that you are. Your expectations are impossibilities because no one else truly knows what you want. Okay, Pisces energy? We're not sure what it is you want for your life. This is about Aquarius season really giving you the reclamation of who you are and what it is. What do you really even want? You know what I mean? And I think we can ask ourselves that, like, there's this fixation that Pisces has had to have, this whole identity after the Age of Pisces that's kind of cooked now, is like this identity of being this entity that circles and having a whole dialogue and a whole thought process about that, right? And having so much to say about having this sort of forced experience as the wisest, not based on really choice, but the wisest based on just like length of experience. And so what does the responsibility we have to have for having that knowledge, and does that affect our ability to be spontaneous? Underneath that was resistance, but that's what I mean. Like there was this resistance to a spontaneity in life with Pisces because it was always playing this sort of role. And this role may say that it's needful or that it has this, leans towards this inflexibility, but let life show you what is possible and let everyone else off the hook. You know what I mean? Like it can't always be that everyone has to stay on your hook, because there is this resentment or resistance or tension or blockage. It could be any of those things, right? For Pisces energy, that I feel like Aquarius season can take the barnacle off, can like heal the wound of like the fish getting caught, of being told that if you just do as you should and expect what you should and think about life in this rational way, maybe you'll be less like yourself, or maybe you'll be less lost in the circle of the seasons and the times. But none of that really changes. And so we're going to the Warrior Shield, which is number 11. And it says, you are Pisces. You are a warrior of spirit, destined to stand up for your beliefs and those of others that you consider truth. Remember that no war is ever won when fought with negative forces. Use the light, and it will guide you to victory in every matter. True power is gentle power, that which is of the heart and not of aggression. Everything that you've been through, Pisces, literally everything that you've been through that has made you depend on certain things to be there, to be okay, has made you rigid in your understanding and realm of what possibilities you can see in your day. All of that has created you into the warrior that you are, destined to stand up for what you really believe in. And that is so true, you know. But playing that part and being in that role, realizing that true power is gentle power, that we can't just take the dominating forces. We can't just raise the tides in our life because we need things to be a certain way, or we refuse to be flexible about how things may play out. We get these expectations and these really full, like Pisces energy is like the full cinema. It's like the whole movie. And you see the whole movie, and you got to be flexible that even though you may see how this all plays out, like there can be flexibility, and there has to be a level of self-sufficiency. Like it can't, like this is life, you know what I mean? And you embody that, and you are the one who's meant to stand up and really share that and show that energy and this at this time. That which is of the heart and not of aggression. You see what I mean? Because also I feel like Piscean energy also has provided a general energy for the collective of hostility and aggression, and sort of being on that spectrum all the time, or being prepared for that, just based on what were the themes of the age of Pisces is another thing that I think, like I said, Pisces energy, you guys play a very important role, because you now get to create the history of how the role we played affected the world, the global the stage, and understanding the role you played and creating a space moving forward of reflected awareness and accountability, and just using that ancient wisdom. You know what I mean? Using that truly ancient wisdom to tell us stories. See what I mean? Pisces is figuring out that there's an alternative way. You know, there's the route of igniting what we want, aggressively going for the truth, you know. But there's always also the reality where we may be the person in a position to give to another, and we need to really realize that we can play more roles than just achieving the thing, or being the success, or being the legacy. So we're gonna go ahead and do Eugene Minsky's Venetian Tarot, because I feel like this is beautiful. It's beautiful. This is a completely different reading. We went from Leo to Pisces, and it feels exactly very much like that. Like we've got a completely different reading panning out here, and it's stunning. So I'm very grateful, because this feels very on point. I'm an artist, so. But it also like affirms like what I was getting in the Leo reading as well. So I love that. Any messages, Spirit? Thank you. Two of Pentacles, exactly. Playing this role, being the person, being the conduit of the two worlds, being the eternal, being the infinite, the Neptunian reality. You know what I mean? Because that's exactly, the Emperor's at the bottom of the deck. It's like being the one who knows how to juggle and infuse this sort of infinite energy best. You're the best at it. That's what you are known for. And I get that at this time it can feel like, well, that's what I've always been, that's what I've always done. But evolution, especially when we're not in the spotlight anymore. So that's what I kind of feel like, is like you still are exactly who you've always been, at the same value that you've always been. But it's about realizing that, you know, it's a different show. And being the person that can learn to lend a hand and evolve when it's a different show. Because you're not playing it's like, we need the wisdom, right? But if the wisdom is too busy, stuck and not evolving past just, here's what I do, and finding a way to be useful. Because Piscean energy is also trying to figure out a way to be useful amongst society. Like, what does having all that high knowledge really mean, And when I say high knowledge, I don't mean any sort of elitism, because there's going to be a lot of Pisces energy that does not have any set kind. But if you feel like you can see out over a lot of dynamics in which it might lead you to manipulate or control things, is it possible that you do something different, And inflexibility, this is the Queen of Swords. This is the way that we communicate. This is the way that, because we have had in the past this grander view, this higher vision, this bigger understanding of what this age was all about, it's the same responsibility that Aquarius is getting right now, right? Because what this age is all about, there are certain things that you also could abuse, right? Like inflexibility. Like, if you knew in the age of Pisces that it was all about, really, people were all going to be like putting gods outside of themselves and this, that, and the third, like, I just truly feel like you could kind of become inflexible on things and make people think that certain realities are one way. And it's all about Queen of Swords. It's about being able to slice and dice this up to fit like your charm or fit your energy. And this is also about how we communicate the spiritual truth. Because you have the spiritual truth, it's like also kind of concerning, because like she is looking in the mirror, but it's like she thinks the mask is really who she is. And there's something about this inflexibility that says, like, the mask that you look, when you look in the mirror in the morning, it's like you put the mask on. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the thing that you want to look at is you with the mask on. Four of Swords. Probably because what's underneath the mask is like totally exhausted from leading an entire age, you know what I mean? So you guys get to really maneuver what it looks like to get the healing that you need and the help that you need to just be safe and successful in this oncoming age. It's not going to be the same age. This is where you can also grow a love for other aspects of the zodiac, because they aren't you. So the age of the Aquarian is not the same as the age of Pisces, and it's not going to be the same motifs and thematics going on. It's a different element altogether. Different expression. Thankfully, right? This is where we thank God that, like, we aren't the ones controlling our whole reality, because if you have to keep a mask on even when you look in the mirror, like, you don't even want to look at yourself because you're so you need to recover. The warrior shield, that brings us to the warrior shield. It's so interesting that this is the Four of Swords. Exactly. And that, is that the Eight of Wands? Yeah. That is the Eight of Wands. And it kind of just being about this is an ambush tactic. So Eight of Wands is like a lot of communication, a lot of things docking, like a lot of all at once, but it's like a lot of this ambush energy, a lot of the old methodology. Like this is where like the warrior shield, you are a warrior and you're meant to defend what you believe is right, but at the same time, like, how successful could it be to win the war, the long-standing war, with light and not with dark? You know what I mean? So this is a lot of this is a lot of kind of the lesson of the healing, you know what I mean? Because when you are this vulnerable, like, someone fully saw you, like we're looking at this perspective probably as the eyes of someone else watching this. So I feel like in order to be a warrior and also have a shield or have some sort of protection, like, we're really needing to connect with how much it can really be. Eight of Wands, you know what I mean? How much bigger the vision can be, how much more power can happen when there's a lot of moving parts and everything being so linear and one way and external and victimhood out the wazoo. during the age of Pisces, like those were just a lot of the things, like, oh, the current's just sloshing us up. There's nothing we can do about this. No, there's literally so much we can do about this. Like, that's the difference between age of Pisces and the age of the Aquarian, right? Is like Pisces is like, oh shit, these waters are deep, dude, no way. Whole time they're controlling the tide, and they want everybody to think that it's just too much. And then age of the Aquarian is like, anyways, like, stop. Like, let's just figure, like, it's a hard stop, you know? And I just kind of split the deck here, and it's kind of like a hard stop. You know what I mean? Ace of Swords, the Moon. Five of Swords. So, all of that being said, let's do some angel cards for Pisces. And then, yeah. So, needful, relationship, and grace. So, the reason that I feel like Pisces has been focused in the relationship sector of life, we've been so focused on the fact that we can balance all of this old world and this new world, or this wisdom that we have, or this connectivity that we have to something bigger or greater. And relationship, it says in every union there is a mystery, right? And I think Pisces was becoming increasingly needful because they were approaching relationships more for the mystery of it and less on like the compatibility, right? So grace is a certain beauty of the soul which wins the divine love. You see what I mean? And so when we think about how we want to make partnerships moving forward, like we were making relationships that were really needy because we really wanted the relationship. I think there was just like this mystery element, this idea of, because you have a higher knowing of it all really being connected intrinsically, like you can kind of pick whatever, right? Or choose whatever, and and pray that the grace, that people were gracious enough, I'm hearing, that in any way where the things that came with the relationship being a mystery, like you were doing that to excuse the probably flawed aspects of self, like, oh, if I just pick a relationship based off of something super arbitrary and the mystery of like, let's try to make it work and see how we are connected, then maybe it'll excuse like some of the characteristics that I haven't really decided to work on or improve recently, and hope that they just give me enough grace. That is ending, you know what I mean? That is the gift of Aquarius season, because Aquarius, the age of the Aquarian, says, anyways, there's something we can do about this. Like, I get it, like it's not always the funnest, but, and then inflexibility. And Pisces knows this. When you get up in the morning and you put the mask on first thing, and then you fucking wake up and say like, no filter, like, you know what I mean? Like that life, Pisces, when you're putting on the face, a human being who does not own a single hour a day is not a human being. And the word is silence. And I think this inflexibility with others that was coming out of this sort of sharp, fugazi Queen of Swords, who isn't even revealing herself, invoked silence in others. Because people are realizing that this hounding and this inflexibility, which intrinsically sounds like time, like there's this confined sort of energy that I feel like Pisces was really like delivering. But it says a human being who does not own a single hour a day is not a human being. And I think that that's what is alarming. That is why the response is silence, because we're dealing with something non-human. We're dealing with something that isn't aware. Like, this inflexibility is denouncing the humanity in others. You know what I mean? And it's just provoking silence because of where we are and the times that we're in. Self-confidence is the final message. Nothing is impossible. Right? And I feel like The age of the Aquarian is going to be a good time for rest for Piscean energies and for recovering of real self-confidence, being able to develop that, because it's not just about the self-confidence being ascribed to you and that's what you're doing, because nobody else can really be responsible for how you process the world or why you think that that's the way you should have gone about things. But may you know a more certain beauty and a more certain self-confidence for who you are. This is about self-actualization, you know what I mean? Whether you're completely covered, like, what is beautiful about this energy, you know what I mean? There's not a lot really to discern there because it's kind of fully covered, but it's just the essence of that energy that's beautiful. And it says, when you really embody Pisces, that nothing is truly impossible for you. You realize that this needfulness and this inflexibility is just a byproduct of how much you didn't believe that anything was possible, or that at least nothing is impossible. So this is about not making that excuse for yourself. It's impossible for me to change my behavior, so that's why I am the way I am. Or it's impossible for me to find a soulmate, so that's why I'm just throwing it away with someone that I just don't even recognize, or maybe even something that's dangerous. It's just not possible for me to ever heal from these wounds and not come from this sort of mentality that says, like, a sort of a warring state, like necessary loss. The development of your self-confidence, Pisces, is going to change everything for you in this new paradigm, because I don't think that was ever really an objective previously. So, we'll read spontaneity because I think that'll be I was looking for like a closing message, but I think that'll be good. When we were children, we didn't stop to think about what was next. We only did what was now. As we grow and mature, the idea of responsibility or the consequences of our actions get in the way of our playful spontaneity. When we struggle over whether or not we should do something the moment for its doing because lost in the analysis, and soon the opportunity is gone. Or we find ourselves in situations where our feet are frozen, but secretly inside of us we want to participate, but we just can't seem to step outside of our self-imposed limitations. If you've received this card today, it reminds you to act on the moment without editing yourself. And Pisces, let me just move the bullshit out of the way, because part of the reason that I do even these zodiacal breakdowns is because they really resonate. Those energies within myself really resonate. And if I can be very honest about this series, and if I can be very honest about what I feel like I have the energy to do and what I choose to do and how I chose to come about the integrity of this channel, like, that message right there alone says that, like, I get it. I get feeling like I need this and I'm inflexible in this way and I've got this shield. I get it. I get when the mask felt like it was easier to just look at in the morning and believe that that's who you were versus who you really were. I get that we got so caught up in being the bridge between the worlds that we didn't choose the world we wanted to live in and we just lived on a bridge. I get it, you know what I mean? But if I can say one thing about, like, specifically feeling like my feet are stuck or like I was frozen, like, I really actually want to participate, but on the external and side of things, I don't do it. You know what I mean? And I'm really coming over that and choosing to participate in my life now. And I'm getting so much more out of it. And I'm also looking at things honestly and integrating my shadow and taking more responsibility for, like, my past and not really feeling as victimized. And I can tell you that it really brings liberation. It really does. And there's this beauty that is going to emerge for you, Pisces, that you have never known, and it will come from no external modifications. You will find yourself in the most mundane, simplest situations at this time where you are captivated by what really is true beauty, and you, Pisces, are the sign that's really defining that for us. You are that highest ideal, so we want to really know that you are in balance and able to show us, like, what's worth hanging on to, like, why is it worth still doing this and living this life, and all of that is so important. And I'm so grateful for this message and to have connected from a real space, because I'm really thrilled about that spontaneity message. And I just want to say, as we grow and mature, the idea of responsibility or the consequences of our actions get in the way of our playful spontaneity. When we struggle over whether or not we should do something the moment for its doing because lost in the analysis and soon the opportunity is gone. Or we find ourselves in situations where our feet are frozen but secretly inside of us we want to participate. You know what I mean? It's like whether you're in it and the moment passes and it's just like whatever, or you feel like your feet are frozen, like this following the spontaneity and following through and committing to this path of developing real self-confidence. Like I can tell you, I'm coming on the external side of like, this series is also a deep act of self-love. Like I really needed to develop like such a more authentic like self-confidence in something that was real and something that was based on what's really here for me. And I don't ever feel like I need to edit myself in this space because it so dissolves when we're really intending to connect with each other the way that I would hope that the space provides. And so just know, like, if you can see that in myself, or if you can see that in anything around you where you feel like there is something it's worth my time to have a self-confidence and to get to know that capacity of myself, I think that Aquarius season really wants to gift that to you. And I hope that by the end of it and come your season, like this is one of the first birthday seasons that you, if you're a sun, Pisces sun, or just the renewal, because that energy every Pisces season is aging. So in yourself, your Pisces energy is aging and it's always important. So every season can be your season. All things, but 3111 is a great holding ending spot. Pisces, thank you for letting me into your energy. Happy Aquarius season. We of course are rearing the end of the astrological year here soon. We will be in your sign, but thank you again. It's all love.